let's say, hypothetically, I'd been putting off doing my monthly wrap-up for so long that there had now been 3 months that had accumulated, which is kind of more a veritable spring wrap-up. Let's say, hypothetically, that's what happened, and that wrap-ups are my favorite to film and also my favorite to watch, so I want those books to be in a wrap-up, but the only way to do that is to do a big 3-month spring wrap-up. And you just clicked on it. I fear this isn't hypothetical, so buckle in. Hi, hello, it's nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it, and welcome to what I am dubbing the spring wrap-up. Is it actually a spring wrap-up? No, because these are not necessarily the only months in spring. However, what would you call a 3-month wrap-up? Because my one brain cell rattling around up there was like spring wrap-up. That's the only way that you can make sense of having not done these wrap-ups sooner. My excuse, my reasoning. The reason that we have ended up here. The reason for the season, if you will. The spring season, I guess, in this case. I've been reading so much slower than I am used to reading. I don't really know what's going on. Maybe like life is just life a little bit too hard. I'm not mad at myself. There is literally no number of books you need to be reading in a month. A lot of the past months I've been feeling like there's not enough books to like sit down and actually do a wrap up because I feel like it's not long enough. And these, again, these are the voices, because no, you could do a 1-book wrap up and I would sit there and watch it. So this is a me problem. However, this me problem has resulted in what is now probably going to be a very long wrap up. So grab a snack, grab a drink if you're interested. If you're not interested, now's the time to click off, because we are going to be getting into what I have read in the last 3 months. Slower months for me, but still great reading months. And also, do I need to reiterate that there is no number of pages or no number of books you need to read in the month to be considered a good reader? No amount of pages or books is different than anybody else. We are all just readers reading at our own pace. Fast or slow, whatever it is. I don't know why I chose to come on here and preach. Without further ado, and because we have so much to get into, let's get into the March, April, and May wrap up. But let's also all do a quick little manifestation moment that I remember anything about what happened in March. Because I don't know what happened yesterday. I don't remember what I had for breakfast. So let's see if I have any thoughts about the books that I read in March. I know I loved them. I know I did. You can see the progress bar below me. I fear yapping is about to ensue. Hopefully, manifestation that I remember anything meaningful about what I read in March and April and May. In the month of March, I read 6 books, 2 fantasies, 2 romances, 1 dark romance, and 1 mystery lit fic situation. Started off March with City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards, and then spent a lot of March getting through City of Gods and Monsters. I have never claimed to be a fast reader. I've actually told everyone and their mom who will listen that I feel like I am more on the slower side when it comes to reading, especially with all of these annotations, and I spent so long in this book. I've said every single time that I've talked about this book that it is so long while it is not too long. I don't think there's anything I would take out of this. However, I do feel like I spent so much time in here that I kind of held a grudge against it. And then when I was recently editing the reading vlog that this book was in, I feel like I was reminded how much I enjoyed being in this book and how much I wouldn't cut anything out of it. It is so funny watching yourself back through a reading experience that like goes well or goes really poorly, because your face really says everything. And when you've read the book, I feel like you know where that person is in the book. I'm elaborating. Sea of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. I am so bad at describing fantasy books, and if you're here for the descriptions of fantasy books, you might want to head out now. And that's okay. I'll forgive you. However, we're gonna try, okay? We're gonna buckle up and we are going to try. We're following Loren, which is a human girl in Angelthine, this world riddled by demons and filled to the brim with other magical beings, creatures, entities. We're talking werewolves, vampires, witches, I don't totally remember. And then we have the Hellseers, okay? Darien Castle. The man that you are, Darien Castle, is a Hellseer. Now, what is a Hellseer? I didn't know. They also call them Darkslayers. I think they're interchangeable. The best way that I can describe them is they're kind of like magical bounty hunters, okay? They can see auras, hence the Hellseer, yeah. So they can find people based on their aura, hence them being magical bounty hunters. And Darien Castle is the leader of the 7 Devils, the best, the brightest, the most magnificent Hellseer group in this society. And Darien Castle is sent after Loren, and he gets to her and he's like, so why would you be a human girl? Literally, why would you be a human girl? Also, like, you're kind of adorable, kind of obsessed with you. I'm interested in this storyline. What if we work together? And what if we bodyguard trope it up and I become obsessed with you and I protect with every single dying breath that I have? What if I did that? What if? Darien Castle, the man that you are. I ended up settling on a 4.5. I definitely didn't get like 5-star straight feelings from this. However, I think it will end up being a 5-star series. And I'm also like so appreciative of the fact that this like was a finalized chapter. Like, I know moving forward in the series, we get different POVs and there's different love lines and a lot of other things happen. Even though there are a lot of strings left untied in this one, like to bring us further into the series. This felt like a completed chapter. Like I feel like there was a mission in this one that was completed. It felt like a finalized chapter in this series, which I really respect, especially coming from a book that's this long. Like only being left with answers after that long would be so annoying. And I will say, while this is so long, it's so long, I do think it's worth it. I loved every single second of it, and it didn't feel too long. You know those books that even are like 300 pages and I'm like, so you could have taken 100 pages out. I feel like we're just jibber-jabbering a little bit. I didn't feel that with this at all. Even though I didn't get those 5-star feelings, I know that these characters will be 5-star characters. And like Darian Castle, if I had ever made a top book boyfriends list, he would be on it. He'd be really high on it. Then we finished The Emperor by Rue Nix, the third book in the Darkverse series. I don't know. No, I don't know. This is one of those that I definitely don't remember a lot of because like palette cleanser, fun, goofy, fun time. Does anyone else find when they read a book on their Kindle, they just absorb it less? I will not fault this book for that because that is what I was reading these for. I feel like I needed to recover from other things that I had been reading when I started the Dark series, and I actually read the first two back to back, The Predator and The Reaper, and really liked them. Thought they were so good, and then immediately went into this and then was like, okay, so I should probably take a break. I should probably read a book for a video. I should probably like focus on some other things. So I took a break from this, and it actually like took me a month to read in totality, but I did like it. I like this one the least of what I've read so far, if I'm honest. I care way more about Tristan and Miranda, the couple from the first book, than I do about the couple in this book. The entire Darkverse series circles around this idea that these codes have been taken, okay? So in the first book, Miranda made these codes, and a rival mafia family, which Tristan and Dante are from, are also like, hey, those codes can't get out. It's unclear what those codes do. It's fine though. You know what? You just buy in and you vibe with it. I'd like Tristan as my main character so much more. Like, man of very few words. Man of such few words. Why am I talking about the first two books when we're supposed to be talking about the third one? Moral of the story, I liked Tristan way more. Man of very few words. However, his actions, okay? And then in this one was like a lot deeper or heavier. We got like a lot more out of the characters, especially because this is following new characters, but we've heard a little bit of their bits and past from the previous books, and I was really excited to get their story. It just like didn't totally hit for me, if I'm honest. There was nothing wrong with it, and I would suggest reading the series, and I understand why this would be other people's favorites. I just like, I cared that much, which is fine for a palette cleanser. It's totally fine. I completely forgot that I read this in the month of March, which I feel like tells you a lot because I think about this quite literally almost every single day. I think about a lot of the books I read, period. I was gonna say in the month of March, but looking at all the books in front of me, period. I think about a lot of books every single day. You know, it's hard to live in my brain with all the thoughts going through it of all these characters that do not exist and me hoping that they're having a good life and try and be a productive member of society. I mean, I'm not really a productive member of society. I'm 99% of the time sitting here, so I'm a member. Maybe I'm not productive. I gave this a 3.5 on Goodreads, but like if I gave it a 3, I would have also believed it. So do with that what you will. It's a 3.5 because I would never change my rating once I finished it. I rated it a 3.5 at the time, but I have not thought about it a lot since. And I honestly forgot that I was going to move forward with the series. This is not a ringing endorsement. I had a lot of fun. I really liked the first books. It was fine. It was good. Something about this one I just didn't love as much. Now, where does one like even imagine beginning when it comes to this, okay? I was so gracefully gifted an arc of this book, and it was the best day of my entire life. Well, it's up there, you know? Like maybe my wedding and childbirth will top it, but like I don't know if I can say that for sure. Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. Olivia Blake is to my core one of my favorite authors. I think the way that she writes and what she does with her words and the way that she makes me feel and just like the academic lens in which she conveys her stories, it's always going to tickle something in my brain. I don't know what to tell you. I love what she does, and arguably this is, I think, the best thing that she's ever done, okay? I don't know if it's my favorite in memory or in like fondness. However, in terms of execution and like what this did, this is my favorite. I mean, look at the annotations. No, it's every single page. No, it's every single one. This made me feel things that I just didn't even know I could feel. We're following the 3 Wren siblings, okay? The 3 pictured here, and their father founded Magitech, which the way that I understood it was like he kind of made the internet, but the internet is founded in magic. Like even the narrator that we get in this, which the reveal of the narrator in this, I'm obsessed. No, I'm actually obsessed with everything that this book did. I started thinking about it. It was so good. No, it was so good. It's literally a masterpiece. What if I got on track? What if I got back on track? 1 second. Let me just like fawn over this for a sec. I could cry. No, I could cry. The narrator even says in this, like there's so many things that we don't understand as people in our world. Like maybe it's magic. So the way that I understood this was like he made a lot of advancements in technology and they just in this world happen to be magic. And obviously all 3 of the kids have their own little magical ability situation. It doesn't totally connect to like where everything goes. It doesn't play a huge role. It more is kind of like a manifestation of their own problems. I feel like it was more of a metaphor than it was anything else. However, this very lightly dabbles in fantasy. And when Thayer Wren, their father, passes away, the question becomes who's going to inherit the company? And while that is what this book is about, it is not the story of this book. Olivia Blake does such a good job of including the teeny tiny nuanced moments of characters and their inner workings and the way that they come to conclusions that makes you feel like you understand them, humanizes them. And while also no one's likable, you're rooting for everyone. The way that she can make characters that you hate with everything in you, but have respect for their existence, the way that she does her books, and also the fact that I feel like everyone connects with different characters. And what I liked so much about this one was that it literally didn't matter. The plot did not matter. Like, which of these billionaire children inherit this billionaire business, it literally doesn't matter. But the journey of getting there, the commentary on society, the way this will stand the test of time, while also at the same time feeling so incredibly modern, was, in my opinion, Olivia Blake's best work, and like 6 stars. 6 stars. Should I reread this soon? I think I have to reread this soon. Maybe it is, in practice, just all across the board my favorite. Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. This is the 3rd book in her first Interconnected Standalone series, and I did this full Interconnected Standalone series as audiobooks, and I was saving this one, okay? And I feel like there was a day that it was finally kind of warming up, and I was like, I feel like I want to read a romance. I want to feel a romance. This was the one. In this book, and the ending of this book was the first book, like, chronologically in her backlog that was a 5 stars. This is a strong 5 stars. I feel like what Abby does so well, where she takes 2 characters that have the opposite experiences in one message. What if what I said made any sense? I feel like I've said this 100 times on the internet, so you might have actually known exactly what I meant if you've seen my face before. However, what I mean is she takes like one message or one meaning or one emotion or something, one thing, and she puts the characters on 2 opposite sides of it so they can have the same conclusion while having different outcomes from that, and they just meet each other at the right time and in the right place and in the right moments for each other. And this was the first book going through her backlog that I feel like that really shone through. It didn't feel like just a romance. It felt like an Abby Jimenez romance. And even though her characters are always funny and witty, and the first 2 books in this were really good, this one just felt like telltale Abby Jimenez, like the things that I love about her books, like the emotional backstabbing and the way that she handles sensitive topics so well. Our female main character has been diagnosed with an illness, and she quit her job to travel the world and be a travel blogger with all of the time that she had left. When her sister drops her baby at her doorstep and is like, hey, I can't do this right now, you need to take her. And she's like, okay, so I'm gonna stay home because I love this baby. I'm gonna be here, okay? That's what I need to do. And then this gorgeous lawyer man lives across from her. I want to tell you nothing, because it's like a cutesy, fun, adorable time, and I love going to Romance Completely Blind. However, that is the premise, and the connection to the previous books is that he's family members or friends with someone from the 2nd book. So I actually didn't know the answer to that, so I don't know why I said it, but this was a strong 5 star, and I will be rereading every single Abby Jimenez book at least once in my life. A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young is a book that I read. I did read it, and I feel so little towards it, I don't even really know how to talk to you about it. You know, this is one of those moments that it's like, you could film your wrap-up sometime, and they might go better. And for that, I say you're right. No, you're 100% right. I could tell you it's a 3, and I'd be okay with that. I don't think Adrienne Young's writing is for me. I think they're a little bit too short and sweet for me, and like the things that I missed in The Unmaking of June Farrow, I really do feel like I read that book at the wrong time, and there was a real chance that I could have really loved it, even though I didn't end up loving it in the end. Reading this, I was like, maybe it's just Adrienne Young's writing, and it's not totally gonna click for me. This one had like way more mystery, lit fic, little bits of fantasy, magical realness things going on in this one. I don't even like really remember what this is about. Moral of the story, James's twin brother has died in their very small hometown, and the whole concept of this, of the forest being very dark and they grew up in darkness, is kind of this theme that carries throughout the whole thing. But James got out, right? James got out of this town, she left, she has her big life in San Francisco, but now her brother Johnny has been killed, or he's died, something has happened, and she's come back to the town to try and figure out what's going on. But she has this connection to her brother, this almost magical twin connection to her brother, that she just knows something happened. It was fun, it was good, the ending was satisfying. I just don't feel a lot for it, so I gave it a 3.25. And I could tell you it's a 3. I could, and I would say that with my chest. It wasn't for me. Now this book, I really cannot come on the internet and talk normally about it. I don't know how to concisify my feelings, to the point that I just used a fake word, concisify. So, Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, 6 stars. Arguably maybe my favorite thing that she's ever written. I think execution-wise, this is perfect. The way that I felt for these characters and for this book and for this writing was the exact same way I felt about Into the Dark, which is crazy because that was the end of a series, or at least what we have of a series. And like Magnolia Parks is my bread and butter. I feel for those characters in a way that I can't explain. Like, I've developed an attachment to those fictional characters to get me through my day. That's kind of where we are. And Sam Penny in this? No, that's crazy. You know how much I love this? I saw people talking about this online saying that it was insta-love, and I was like, yeah, I guess you're right, but this is so beyond troping for me that I saw no tropes. I saw nothing but masterpiece. Yeah, perfection. This is my favorite book of the year so far. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're following Georgia, and Georgia is a professional lie detector. Hear me out, okay? She had a lot of family stuff growing up that just like, she wanted to know what was going on in people's brains. She ended up studying body language and learning how to read people and when they are lying, understanding when they are telling the truth, when they are conniving, when they are trying to hide something behind their facade. That's Georgia's whole thing. But she's grown up in this extremely religious South Carolina family. That sucks. No, they actually suck. They suck in a way that is not even funny. And she had a very close relationship with her brother. mother. When she was honestly like pretty young, like way too young for what happened, her family sent her and her brother away, her to London, her brother somewhere else, and she ended up going to school in London, which is kind of where the connection to Magnolia Park happens in the same world. However, this one happens like after Daisy Hates 3 and maybe even Daisy Hates 4. What? And something that happens in this? No, I do not claim that energy. I can't claim that energy. For my mental health, I cannot claim that energy, okay? But she hasn't been home and she hasn't seen her family in years, and now her dad has passed away and she has to come home for the funeral. And when she gets there, her brother's sobriety coach, Sam Penny, is there. No, I can't talk about it. This book is some of Jess's best commentary. This is magic. This is truly magic. I think about this book every single day. I have one of every single copies of this book. I will be getting quotes from this tattooed. 6 fucking stars. No ifs, ands, or buts. I love this the way that I love the Frey guy over there. Like, I would never compare my love for Chance with a book, but the way that I love these characters is that serious. I obviously love my dog more. That's not what I'm saying. But like, it's a close tie. Oh my god, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's my entire world. But so was this book. Now in April, we read a total of 8 books, 6 of which were fantasy and 2 of which were romance. I don't know what happened this month. It was a very fantasy. Actually, that's a lie. I know exactly what happened this month. Okay, we're gonna get into it. I read The Conditions of Will and these next 2 books in a 24-hour reading video that happened to be the very end of March and the very beginning of April, just the way that my brain could not 24 hours straight. I don't know if I can 24 hours straight anymore. I want to try again because I want to prove to myself that I can. However, it is so bad for you. Anyways, Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. Is this a safe space? Is this a space that I can be honest with you? Because I, borderline, hated this. Hated it. I can see it. I can respect it. It was a 3-star for me because I can see it. I didn't like it. It did nothing for me. I don't see it, okay? I see it from the outside looking in. I see why people liked it, but I was in the middle of this like, maybe I'm just tired. No, I got to the end and it was bad. No, it was bad. I don't get it. I totally understand and respect and love why people love this so much. I understand. Why don't I say it again? I understand why people loved this. I didn't connect to it in any way, shape, or form. It didn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know. Basically, the premise of this is we have 2 characters in every single life. They're deemed to kill each other. One of them has to kill the other. One of them is always hunting the other one, and one of them is doomed to always forget what happens, okay? So they go on, they live this new life, and then these memories start coming back, and they know that they're gonna be hunted, right? So we have this current timeline of our main character who has this family who knows that the other person is hunting them. Their memories are starting to come back. They know they're gonna be hunted soon, but their sister needs something from them medically. So they're desperately trying to find a way to evade this or to try and save their sister before this happens. And this main character is so fed up with living this life. So we're getting these like really, really brief past timelines of times this happened in the past. And there's this like sentiment of there's this deep love there. They love each other in a way that's like so unexplainable. They don't want to be going through this again. But the character whose POV we're in doesn't understand why they have to keep doing this. And the other character is like, you don't want to know. I don't want to tell you. And I don't want to be the one to break the news to you. And I fear we just have to keep doing this. It's not up for debate. And then at the end, we got this like crazy twist that made so much sense. And I feel like if we explored that more, it could have been good. I know I just said nothing, but this is definitely a book that I put out of my brain. It did literally nothing for me. Nothing. I understand it. I understand the love. There were a lot of really amazing quotes in this. Maybe I was tired and I could have appreciated the quotes more. I remember thinking when I read this that it felt like the author had taken an anthropology course recently and was kind of flexing knowledge on us. So like maybe if you really loved the characters, that would have been cute and fun ambiance and it would have been very interesting. But it was another thing that took me out because I was like, again, we're doing this again. Okay. But then we read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Oh, I want to be buried with this. No, this is the perfect book. I'm protecting it. I love it with everything in me. Wow, look at the annotations in here. Every single page. This is perfection. This is as good as romances get. This is it. This is the definition of a feel-good, fun time, really well executed, that could really only be executed as well as it was by someone who had lived a life similar to our female main character. Our female main character, Wynn, has kind of recently gotten out of a relationship that completely tested her, and she was like, I'm never gonna fall in love again. She was born with a limb difference and never wanted to be coddled for having that, but now she's had this one-night stand with the actual golden retriever and perfect man that is Beau, and she has winded up pregnant. And in a world where everybody is constantly telling her that she's about to have her hands full and knowing that she has a limb difference and she's going to have this limitation, she is A, nervous to have this baby, B, nervous to wrap Beau into all of this, and kind of excited to see what's gonna happen. And as soon as she tells Beau, Beau wants nothing more than to be perfect and supportive and listen to her and have the communication and just everything in this, it was just executed perfectly. It is feel good. My cup felt so full when I left this. I think about these characters like they're real to me. And you know what's crazy? If they are real, they live literally down the street from me. So they're just real in my brain. I think this is the definition of the perfect romance. And I feel like I've seen so many people say that this and like Reckless are the pregnancy trope done well. And I think those are the only pregnancy trope books that I've read. So I fear I love the pregnancy trope. I fear I've only seen it done well. So 5 stars across the board. This is perfect. I would not change a sentence, a word, a moment, a thought, anything. This is one of those book couples that if I had to bet my bottom bottom dollar. I would bet my bottom dollar on the fact that these characters are still together and they have the happiest little family, and I am obsessed with them. I want to peek into their window in a non-creepy way, in a like, I want to know they're doing well way. Like, they have to be. I'll sue. Wildside by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Rose Hill series. I think this was cute. I loved the emotional depth in this one. Now that we're on the third book, we are following Tabitha, who owns the restaurant in town and just is connected to all the characters in the way that she's connected to them, okay? Reese Dupree is our recluse, not really included in a lot, keeps to himself, very quiet man. And we learned very early on that that is because he was in the foster care system and he was never treated very well. But now, Erica, Tabitha's sister, who was actually living in one of Reese's property, and her son has been left in the care of Tabitha, actually no. In the will it says to Reese. So now they're kind of in this situation where they kind of are co-parenting, because Reese is like, I'm not just going to give up custody of this child, even though he's your nephew, because I was in the system. And I'm just not going to let this kid end up with someone who doesn't love him, and I know that I love him. And they end up co-parenting. It's Elsie Silver, guys. Are we really debating? It's so good. No, it's so good. I will say the pro wrestling of it all, there were a few moments that gave me the ick. There were a couple. I'm not going to lie to anyone involved. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't love it. No, I liked it. It was fine. It was definitely a fun, cool plot that I'd never read before, but I didn't love it. I would not stretch so far to say that, but I love Reese as a character. I loved Tabitha as a character. She was such like a badass, but usually Elsie Silver's main characters are. I feel like she was very similar to Willa, but she had this really, really soft side that we got a lot of her, which I feel like we got a soft side of Willa as well. Willa's the main character in Heartless, the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. If you haven't read it, then you wouldn't know what that meant, but if you have read it, you know exactly who I was talking about, so I don't know why I felt the need to clarify. However, if I am to rank the Rose Hill series right now, it is Wild Eyes, Wildside really close second, and then Wild Love. No ifs, ands, or buts. I settled on a 4.25 for this one. I also read it like kind of slowly throughout the month, and I feel like if I dedicated more time to it, I would have felt more for it. There were a lot of tears, so that probably tells you more than anything else I could. Enter the Powerless reread and the Fearless vlog. We're gonna rapid fire this because I feel like I will cry if I talk about it for really all that long. Okay, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I gave a 6-star at the time. It's probably a 5 for me, but it stays 6-star for nostalgic reasons. I will read this 100 times in my life. This is the perfect first book. I loved Peyton and Kai. Bury me with Kai. You know what? If we're talking book boyfriends again, both Darian Castle and Kai are on that list, and they might be battling it out for the same spot. Now, hear me out. That list does not exist, so I don't actually know where either of them fall if I really would have put my brain to making a book boyfriend list. However, I guess in my mind they're tied. This stays a 6-star for nostalgic reasons, and I love it. I love it. Okay, so like, why would I put myself through this emotional damage again? Why'd I do that? Yeah. This, the second time around, a completely different experience. I said it the first time I read this. I feel like if you read the entire series back to back and you got it all at once and we weren't like waiting for another book before we got this would be better. And it was. Also, the audiobook of this was really good. I enjoyed this one so much more the second time around. I think I gave it like a 4 the first time. I would give it like a 4.5, 4.75 now, because like for what it was, it did it perfectly. And the sweet, soft moment of Kai and Peyton leading up to what we got at the end of this, the cliffhanger that we got at the end of this, criminal cliffhanger, okay? But those moments after going through Powerless, through Powerful, and then in preparation for Fearless, I understand the breather book that this was, and I believed Lauren Roberts when she said this was going to be a breather book, but I was nervous. You know, I feel like we all were a little bit. Now, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Okay, 6 stars. 6 stars. I think this was immaculate. I feel like the whole series felt very thought out. So much tied forward. I especially noticed a lot of like teeny tiny nuanced turns of phrase or like flowers, little things that connected the series moving forward. And I feel like having reread the entire thing, gotten the information top to bottom all over again, I feel like the plot twists in this and the crazy reveals in this were A, executed very well, and B, forward thought. Like, I feel like I saw bits of them after knowing the conclusion. In the original books, Kai and Peyton have a place in my heart like unlike anything else. This was criminal. The tears that I cried reading this book. If I had to place my money on it, I feel like this is the most I've cried reading a book in the year of 2025. I actually like can't come on the internet and talk about this book and be normal. This and the Conditions of Will for 2025, I cannot come on the internet and talk normal about them. No, I can't. I love Kai and Peyton in a way that is just so inexplicable. Did this reinvent the wheel? No, the wheel had existed for a long time before this wheel was made. However, was this wheel done perfectly? You can tell that Lauren Roberts still, at this point in the series, reads the genre, loves the genre, and just wanted to tell the story of Kai and Peyton that she had in her head. And the execution of this, I thought, was immaculate. It didn't feel too long. It didn't feel drawn out. I feel like all of the characters had these arcs that made sense and they were painful. And there's so many things that happened in this book. Like, I truly feel like from page 1 to the end of this book was like whiplash on whiplash whiplash on whiplash. And we got the trials back all over again. This series just feels very well rounded out. I'm pretty sure we're getting a novella and we might get another series that exists in this world. Give me more. I actually just want a newspaper clipping that proves that these characters are okay 10 years down the line. No, I do, thank you. Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is the book that comes after Phantasma. Now, I have nothing but raving things to say about this, okay? The storyline, the plot, the characters, everything was so unique, so well thought out, so interesting to listen to. It just didn't really hit for me. I don't know if it was timing or what it was. I just like wasn't totally in this as much as I was hoping to be. I was seeing things in the book and annotating things in the book that I like loved about the characters or the storyline or the plot, and I was like, I'm just not totally connecting to it, and I felt very similar to Phantasma. I will read the entire series because they're such good fun times. They're so creative and interesting to read about. I just like don't die on the hill for these characters. So I ended up settling on giving this one a 4. In this book, we're following Genevieve Grimm, which is the sister to Ophelia, the main character in the first book, and she kind of just wants answers about her family. Her mother has passed away now. Ophelia has inherited the necromancer powers from their mother after she's passed away, and Genevieve just always feels like her mom was never really picking her. She was always the other kid, and she has so many questions that she wants answers to, and there's something about Genevieve. There's something going on in this. There's something about Genevieve that she just never really was able to connect to her family, and she wants to know if there's anyone else out there like her, which brings her to an old photograph of a friend with her mother who happens to live in the estate of Enchantra. And I was curious how this was going to go after Phantasma, because the whole premise of Phantasma was the games, and I was like, are we really just going to do Phantasma again just like in Italy, or what's going to happen? But no, okay, these people are locked in the hunt, and it was so cool, and the world that is expanding out of this book is so interesting and so well done, and I cannot recommend reading this series more, even if it's not my favorite characters in the story that I've connected to the most. The estate of Enchantra once a year has the hunt, where basically the father has made this deal with the devil, and you cannot make deals with the devil, okay, because you have to be very careful with your words, and they are always going to win in their deals. This deal that they have made has locked all of the children in the hunt every single year, and the hunt is basically this game that happens every single year where Rowan and his 6 siblings are competing to the death every single year, and whoever is the last one standing is allowed to leave hell and have a year off, have a year exploring. However, Rowan and all of his siblings are not necessarily human, so they come back to life. Genevieve, however, will not come back to life if she dies, but she's locked in now. Yeah, and actually the only way that she can stay locked in is if she pretends to love and be married to Rowan, or else the devil's gonna kill her. No, it's so creative, it's so cool. This is literally all that happens in like the first 30 pages, like the setup of the story. I'm not spoiling anything by telling you all of this, and how descriptive Kaylee Smith writes these scenes and these moments of being in the games. And her books also feel so adult, and not just because they have spice, like they actually deal with adult themes and feel like they were written for adults, like fantasy for adults, not just because they're spicy, but in execution. I could not sing the praises of the series more, and it tears my heart out that I just don't get 5-star feelings from the books in the series, but I'm hoping further on in the series I will really connect with the character at some point. But I think these are done so well. I recommend them with every single one of my breaths, and it's a really, really strong 4-star for me. Now we enter May, which was a very weird month, and I fear I am still in the slump that was May. We're working our way out of it. Things are happening. I'm starting to find the will to exist again. May was definitely a very weird month. I may have had my very first ever DNF, but I did read 2 fantasies, 3 romances, and I kind of read 1 mystery. We'll get into it. Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, the first book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, which comes before Chestnut Springs. However, can I tell you, if you told me this is a recent Elsie Silver release, I would have believed you. That's how good it felt. Obviously, I feel like she's made strides in her writing, and there are things in future books that I obviously love way more. However, Elsie Silver was meant to write small town cowboy romances, because no, this is crazy. No, because this is another couple that I will die on the hill that they are still together. I'll die on that hill. I will. Tell me why the most emotional attachment that I've ever had in a book ever was to a horse in this one. To an imaginary horse. You okay up there? Everything okay up there? Oh, no, it was just written that well. That you loved that character. The horse? Are you sure the horse? Yeah, the horse. The Gold Rush Ranch series takes place in Ruby Creek, and actually the second book of the series is about Violet Eaton, which is the sister of the Eaton boys, who are the entire Chestnut Springs series. I don't need to give you all the Elsie Silver lore, however, I feel a need to do that. In this one, we're following Vince Harding, and his grandfather has recently passed away, and it's looking like he might have cooked a lot of horse races, and he was the owner of a really good horse farm. He's now passed away, and it's looking like he might have cooked a lot of races, and like kind of what's going on. Vaughn's dad was a jockey who died very young, and so his grandfather was kind of a dad to him, but now he's passed away, and Vaughn feels a really strong need to clear his family's name and be like, my grandpa would never do this. I know he wouldn't do this, so I'm going to take over the ranch. I'm stepping down as CEO of our holdings company that actually like makes a lot of the money, not the ranch, but the actual like company. I'm stepping down from that to take over the ranch and like try and bring back our name and get back in the racing circuit. But we need the best trainer possible. We need to clean house. We need to get rid of all of the staff, and we need to start all over again. Enter Billy Black. She is amazing in what she does. She's literally a horse whisperer. She has literally rehabbed this terrified, scared horse into being a Derby winner award-winning amazing horse while also developing a connection to it that is just so unexplainable. And the connection between them is just immediately so good. It's just so good. Elsie Silver's banter between her characters is just so well done. Both of these characters have reasonable, believable reasons why they don't want to be with each other and why they can't lean on this attraction and lean on each other, even though it's so impossible for them to not. She is a strong 4.5, and I now have an emotional attachment to a fictional horse. So do with that information what you will. Great BBL by Emily Henry. I told myself when this book came out and everybody was saying Great BBL that I wasn't going to be one of the people that said Great BBL, but it's so good. It's just such a fun thing to say. Hey, so Death Row Emily Henry book. Yeah, if there was like a Death Row meal equivalent of book, it would be this. Oh, hear me out. Bury me with this book. I hear and see why people didn't totally connect to this. I ate up and loved both plots of this. I thought the overarching story, the way everything connected, no, it's actually, I think it's Emily Henry's best work. I have like all of my full thoughts and opinions in the full roller coaster of this book in the April and March Bookish Diaries video, and I have my full thoughts and opinions and feelings and the way that this book transpired for me in that, and I feel like I could never re-explain the way that I explained it in the moment. So if you're really interested in my thoughts and opinions on this book, then definitely make sure you watch that. However, this is such a strong 6-star for me. I think this is Emily Henry's best work. I think the reason that it didn't connect for a lot of people is because she was already kind of towing that line between being romance and literary fiction, and for the people who were only reading for the romance and like really loved the romance and banter in her books and not to the literary fiction, women's fiction kind of side of her writing, this towed more on the other side. Even though this to me felt so strongly a romance, it wasn't just a romance between two characters. It was this big familial story of love. It was all of these characters, their love stories, the things that they had lost. Margaret's story made me actually sob. Anything that has that reminder that like life is worth living because it is so short, and like we need to make use of the time that we have, and we need to make memories, and we need to hold our memories so dear and so close, are always going to hit me like right in the core. And I think that's why this one hit so hard for me. We're following Alice, and Alice has somehow found the forever elusive, the long gone media darling Margaret Ives, which the best way I can explain Margaret Ives is she's kind of like a Kennedy. Like they're a super rich, wealthy family with a ton of torrid history, and she was the media darling, and she was married to this big rock star, but then he died and she slowly but surely disappeared from the media, and no one has ever heard her tell all. And Alice wants nothing more than to tell Margaret's tell all. So when Margaret answers her email and is like, come Amy, give me your pitch, Alice is completely over the moon. But when she gets there, it goes well. But then another guy knocks on the door, and they're actually the two of them competing for the same writing role. And Hayden in this book, that's what the book is about. That's the description, but that's not what the story is about. We're flipping kind of between this interview style exploration of Margaret's story and everything that's happened to her, while also exploring this sweet, soft, their knees touched romance with Hayden and Alice. I loved it. I think this was so perfectly executed. Sobbed my little eyes out. So much motherfucking fun. It wasn't good. It wasn't. No. I mean, in terms of a book, it wasn't a good one, objectively speaking. However, I loved it. I had so much fun. I was totally bought into this. I loved it. I read it like practically in one sitting, obsessed with the characters. I was having so much fun. I have now since looked back, and I see a lot of things in the beginning that I'm like, So that, no, I get it. It's not good. And then the last like 50, 60 pages, literally, what do you mean? Bang, 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 decisions that don't make sense. No, I don't think this was a masterpiece. It didn't reinvent any wheels. It didn't have like a ton to say, but I had a lot of fun. So 4 stars. Summer in the City by Alex Astor is the perfect little miniature standalone romance. I said what I said. No, I had so much fun. I had a silly, goofy, fun time. I was literally kicking my feet. I am obsessed with this. Yeah. 4.75. I feel like I wouldn't change a single thing in this book. It did what it did so well, and it wasn't jaw-dropping. I'm not going to think about it every single day, but it was a perfect standalone romance. Many years ago, our female main character has met our male main character in a club, and he's kind of implied that he can just buy her. Yeah, right. She's like, that's not my thing. You know what? And that's going to live in my brain for the foreseeable future. I'm actually always going to fixate on the fact that you said that to me. So when she becomes a very successful screenwriter and her sister is like, I actually really need you to just move into my apartment in New York and like make sure the renovation is going well, she obviously does it because she can't say no to her sister, but then she gets there and he's her neighbor. So she's kind of been fixating on him and like kind of proving him wrong in her head that she can make all the money that she makes and she doesn't need a man, right? But now they've met and he's like, you're so fun. What if you're just so fun? What if we just fake date for the summer? We'll go to all the locations that you need to go to write the screenplay that you're writing based in New York, and then you can just keep me company because I'm selling my company and I've never had free time, and we'll just do it. It'll be fun. So they end up doing this little like fake dating situation, and he's a billionaire, but it's just so cute and it feels so New York. Like you can feel Alex Astor's love for the city in this book, and it was just for what it was. was executed perfectly. Literally perfectly. Enter, I think my first DNF ever. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Just not for me, and that is okay, okay? This is like a YA true crime retelling situation of Jack the Ripper, where our female main character's uncle does autopsies, and she's very interested in the science of all of this. But now Jack the Ripper is ripping through the town, and she's like, I'm gonna solve this case. So she works with another guy that is in her class, who they have this like banter. The like late 1800s London of it all, and the like way that they talk to each other was so much fun. But he's also in her uncle's class trying to become an autopsyist. I don't know, what are those called? Anyways, they end up kind of working together to figure out who Jack the Ripper is. I made it like 50% of the way through. I still really want to know who Jack the Ripper is, so maybe I'll finish this one day. However, this was like very viscerally about autopsies, and I felt like I could smell this book. I listened to so much true crime, okay? And there were things in this book I just like literally felt like my stomach was turning. And I understand that that is the point of it. I do. I totally do. And I totally understand why someone would love this book and why people love the characters in this book. I just didn't really care about the characters. I didn't love the pacing, and it was literally grossing me out. So, and maybe when I have a very settled stomach one of these days, I will finish it. However, I have in fact never DNF'd a book. So this is either progress or it's gonna haunt me. Now this entire stack, oh my God. Now this entire stack was read on or before May 9th. And then I took a big break, just like got busy with life and stuff. And then I started Fairytale, and then I was really liking Fairytale. And then I took another break because I was like, no, I think I'm going into a slump, and I don't want this to be the book that ends up in a slump because I'm loving it. So I'm still reading this. I'm actually planning on finishing it hopefully today or tomorrow. However, I spent so much of the month of May reading this book that I cannot leave it out. I cannot. So I thought we could do a little bit of a prediction, and then we will see in my June wrap up, which I promise you I will actually film on time this time, and we will not end up with another 3 months situation, that this is going to be a 4.75. That's my guess. That's my guess. It could be a 5. We're finding stuff out now. I know it's intentionally confusing. I think it's going to be a 4.75. I had to include it because I spent so much of May reading it. It needed to be included because there's no way that I'm going to read a book for 2 weeks in a month and then not include it in that month's reading. And on that note, that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 books that I've read in the last 3 months. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you're going to be adding any of these to your TBR. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Love you. Bye. It's been a very good reading year, if I do say so myself.